What's going on, guys? Delta BB here.
Hunter, aka Tall Ass Leprechaun.
So, welcome to two drunks in a bottle,
Oh yeah,
episode 1.
Jack Daniels, man.
Good to have you on the
Oh
podcast.
yeah,
Thanks for being a host with me.
hell yeah.
So, Jack Daniels,
Man, brings back some memories.
one of my favorites.
Our favorites.
Got quite a few memories on that. You want to explain what the goal of tonight's podcast is? Like what we're gonna do, what they're gonna see us do?
So this whole podcast brought to you would be, just going through bottles. What triggers us the most, whether it be good times or bad times. It's really not us going through a first time review. It's more of bringing back old memories for us. All of these bottles that we have tried, and maybe in the future we might get to some that we haven't tried yet, but definitely something that's going to bring back some memories for us at the beginning. Especially we had to start out with Jack Daniels, as y'all know, is the most iconic drink. As a lot of first timer drinkers, when they switch over to whiskey or liquors, all of y'all have heard of Jack Daniels.
Uh, Definitely a major brand. Uh, Definitely a major leader in the whiskey industry. Uh, and I mean, not just regular old number 7 Jack. You know, anything from Gentleman's Jack to uh, Honey Jack, uh, Rye, even Apple. You know, they've made a name for themselves, and uh, there's no flavor like it. Uh, I've done cheap, I've done expensive, and that mid grade whiskey, being Jack, there ain't nothing like it. It's affordable for the blue collar man, and
Starting out, you pretty much hear Jack Daniels, you already know. Like, you've heard some stories, you've heard either people tell you about it. Like I said, it's going to be one of your first that you're going to go to with. Whether you heard it as a mixed drink by itself, you have heard of Jack Daniels come up millions of times. And that's why this one had to be our first.
I,
It's too iconic.
I think I've reached the age.
I mean,
I've just reached the age that
just
uh,
reach. Yeah, we're old, is what he's trying to say. Yeah.
just about all of my whiskeys I like them on ice.
They're smoother. Yeah,
Don't really care for a mix. Like I'll do mixed drinks every now and then. I'm not a shooter anymore.
yeah.
I've lived that.
Yeah,
I've My guts have felt that.
we've
My
been
liver
there.
has felt it.
Yeah, we've been there. We tried our shots and we're like, oh, we can handle it. Now it's more of like, what is smooth, what actually tastes good and doesn't hit too hard for us. Back in the day, we weren't worried about it hitting too hard. We were trying to toughen up. But now it's just like, what is the best way to enjoy it?
So we're gonna do a shot.
Yeah,
We're gonna do it on ice, and we're gonna do it with Coke. Uh, and as you see, we have three equal of everything. Same shot glass, same whiskey glass, and same mixed glass. Uh, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna tell some stories, and after the first couple of stories, we'll take a shot, and we'll tell a couple more stories or whatever, and then we'll we'll uh, we'll do the mixed drink, and then we'll move on to the last, and we'll do on ice. Hopefully, by the end of it, we'll have a couple of questions. If anyone wants to ask any questions, we'll hold questions to the end.
yeah.
Recommendations for liquors are going to be great. So episode 1 is going to be Jack, of course, and then episode 2 you've already picked yours. So
Yes.
Jack is mine.
So we'll go into a spoiler alert for those that are watching. We're gonna go with Crown as mine. Jack was his, but we both agreed on it. Crown is definitely one of my favorite.
So we're gonna be on whiskey for a minute. We're gonna go through a few whiskeys. We're not just gonna do Jack and Crown and be done with whiskey. We're gonna venture out, and probably on the third podcast we'll probably move on to one of the ones we never had before. Uh, so recommendations would be great.
Yeah, please definitely let us know what y'all like. definitely let us know how y'all like Jack Daniels, because we're just trying 3 different variations of it. So if you like what we have, let us know. If you have something different, please let us know. We like trying different things with the same bottle.
So, story time, I guess. So, you remember that Halloween party at you remember that Halloween party at Cowboy and Cats?
Yes, how could I forget?
So I had started drinking it.
Shoot.
I had started
It was
drinking. I
early.
think it was 9 o'clock in the morning. I started drinking
Yeah,
with Cowboy,
it definitely was early for you.
and
Yeah.
shit. Now this is moonshine days too. So or sugar shine days. It wasn't even moonshine. It wasn't real moonshine.
Good days.
But I had been drinking since 9 o'clock that morning, and the first drink he had made me was a Jack and 7-Up, and I was like, "Oh, I'm more of a Jack and Coke kind of guy." And he's like, "No, I'm fixing to turn you into a real man, and you're gonna do some Jack and 7-Up."
And it'll wake you up too.
Jack and 7-Up, definitely that. Try it. It is
Yes.
better than Jack and Coke.
Definitely.
Yeah, I will give it. It's not like Sprite to where the Jack flattens it. 7-Up doesn't flatten the way Sprite does. Anyways, so let's fast forward. This is a Halloween party, and I was actually DJing this Halloween party.
Yep.
Well, I had a guy come up to me and he says, "Hey, BB, how old are you?" And I was like, "Man, I'm 20." So I was underage. I was like, "Man, I'm 20." He said, "I bet you can't chug this bottle for 20 seconds."
Definitely did not know.
And Hunter and another one of our buddies, I'm not going to name his name for reasons. He's in the military. Don't want to give his name away with that or anything.
Yep.
Thank you for your service, bud.
Oh, yeah.
If you're watching this, but so he asked me if I could chug it for 20 seconds, and y'all are like, you done screwed up, dude.
As soon as he told you, I bet you won't. I was
And
like, this is it.
I throw that bottle up,
Yeah.
and I chug it for probably the good 20 seconds, just about.
Oh, yeah, you tried it. He had to stop you, yeah.
And probably got a quarter of the way through that bottle.
Yeah.
If it maybe a little more. I know it was at least a quarter of the bottle. I know he was surprised.
You were going for it, yeah.
And then I was still standing. He was surprised about that too. He was like, "You're a little guy." He was like, "You're still up." But the last thing I remember of that night was getting sprayed with a water hose. Not gonna name any names on that one. I thought it was Cowboy, but it wasn't. I thought it was someone else. I thought it was military buddy, but it ended up being Cowboy. Good times out there. Some really good times out there.
Especially
I've got a crown one like from out there too that I'll tell the next time we do it.
Stay tuned. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I remember that night too. Like, he definitely went for it. The guy pretty much told him, it was like, I bet you won't. And, me and our buddy and stuff, we were like, he messed up. Like, we just kind of scooted off to the side, like he's about to do his thing. And he went for it. The dude literally had to stop him from chugging. Like, he grabbed the bottle and took it out of his hands. Was like, all right, I agree with you. You were going to do it. I didn't mean for you to. But he went for it. I got to give him that. One of my first times with Jack, it was definitely at one of the parties that we were having, and I was always a beer guy. Once I got started drinking beer, it was my thing. I think at the time I started off with Budweiser, and to me, like, it was just a thing that everyone did. So, like, beer was my go-to. Now with him, on the other hand, he was a liquor guy. Starting out. So he literally had all of these different bottles for us when we went over to his house. He would have, for us to drink on. So I wasn't used to that. I was used to beer. So going to his place, he was always like, this is what we're going to drink on tonight, So going to his house, he would always mix us these drinks, whether it be a Jack and Coke or something else. I remember having my first Jack and Coke with him, and his percentage to me was a 50-50. Now, 50-50 is a 50-50, but I've learned that everybody else is different with their 50-50s.
Especially me.
Especially you, yes. Definitely. But it wasn't a bad thing, though. Like, so his 50-50 is actually my 50-50. Is the way it would
75% Jack, 25% Coke.
Yeah.
That's a 50-50.
and that's what we always called it. You know, some people will tell us 75-25, and we're like, you're not gonna roll with us. You know, you're not gonna like this drink. But that was one of the first times I've actually had Jack. You know, we
Now
never
you're
really,
now you're leaving out the part that we've got a regular sized bottle of Jack right here.
yeah.
You're the part of your story that you're leaving out is that me and another buddy drank so much Jack and Coke. We would go through a gallon a night.
Now, see, this was after the fact, though. The first time we've had it was before him. But I do know, you know, y'all had a lot to drink. So what he's talking about, we had a neighbor that would drink a lot with us, and later on at the time, that's all we would get, you know, to drink on was Jack, and it went from a small bottle to a regular bottle to just this big ass bottle, and we would kill it like more times him and his neighbor because I wasn't there, you know. But whenever we were there, that's what we would drink on was Jack, and like it was our iconic drink. You know, anytime we would come over, we'd always have Jack. If it wasn't Jack, it was something else. Like my preference was Crown, but most times it was Jack.
Thank you for our moderator being here. Appreciate it, South Coast Ace.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
fan of your videos, buddy.
Keep it going, man. So I think it might be time for a shot. What do you think?
Yeah, I went ahead and grabbed a Coke because I am gonna probably taste this.
Nah,
It's been a minute. I'll see. We'll see how it goes.
we'll see how it goes. I'll give you that. Yeah.
I thought I already. Here, you want to do the honors? Or... Never mind. I got it.
There we go.
About even. All right, something me and Hunter do. Cheers.
Old
One on the
times.
table. Old times if the one's gone.
Honestly, I expect to be a little bit worse. You have to understand, you know, we don't really just take shots of Jack. If anytime we get Jack, it's usually going to be mixed. But I mean,
Or on ice.
or on ice, yeah. But most time it's going to be mixed with Jack and Coke. That's just the iconic drink. But that wasn't bad. I was expecting to be a little bit hotter, but that was actually good.
I don't shoot whiskey anymore.
That's what I'm getting at. You know, back in the young days, it was always, you know, trying to be tough. You know, what can we stand? You know, so at the time, you know, we were drinking on Jack, so of course we were going to do shots of Jack. But now, you know, we haven't messed with it. So I mean, I always thought that maybe the shot was going to get me being older, especially because I don't drink it too often anymore. And this is what this whole podcast is about: is going back to the good days. You know, of us just drinking the regular bottles.
And we'll talk more than just liquor. We may have some random conversations involved in it. Talk about movies, like one movie that I didn't know that was coming out, and you said you watched the trailer. Vacation Friends.
Yes.
So the first Vacation Friends was freaking hilarious. I love that movie. Not I wasn't a fan of John Cena and Peacemaker. Like I just wasn't a fan.
To me, I actually like that.
He
Series.
reminded me of freaking Barnacle Boy and SpongeBob.
That to me, that's what made it even better.
But Vacation Friends was amazing. I didn't expect them to really make a second one. I didn't see like a reason to have a second one.
So we were talking about
old school trick too. Always use a dirty knife to mix your drinks. It just makes them taste better.
Yes.
Don't clean your knife when you mix your drink.
Adds more flavor.
You're just gonna add more flavor.
So to me, going off John Cena Peacemaker though, to me it was one of those things that hit home. But he said Barnacle Boys, what he thought of with John Cena, but to me, like that was just the funny part of it. You know, I think that's actually what they went for. I could be wrong. You know, maybe the comics that's how he looked originally, but to me, like that character to me was perfect for that. You know, and it was just it was one of those stupid funny shows, that you just kind of fall into. Now it's not for everybody, apparently, which we've always talked about with different stuff all the time is he may like that I don't like, it's teach their own on it. To me, I liked it. It wasn't too bad, but understand. But going back to Vacation Friends as well, I did not expect them to do the second one either. I remember watching the trailer for it
So were there spoilers in the new trailer?
a little bit. I mean, it's your spoiler alert for trailers.
Like, do you think it's your normal to where you've seen all the best scenes and that's how it's going to be? Since it's a Hulu original, do you think Hulu kind of held back and was like, "I'm not going to give you everything"?
So based off,
Like, because they're trying to get you to subscribe to Hulu. Like, you have to have Hulu to be able to watch Vacation Friends. So do you think they kind of left some things out? And...
the way I see it is based off the first one and watching the trailer and then watching the movie. It's going to be just the same way. It's like it's not going to be everything on board, but you're going to know here and there, like some of the good parts.
I don't want to give spoilers for them.
Yeah.
For people that haven't even watched the first one.
Yeah, definitely watch the first
one. Oh, there's the Western Mustang. Apparently, I need to move that where you've got better eyesight than I have. Can you read that fine, or do I need? Can you read it better over here? The comments and the...
I got it pulled up.
Oh, well, that would have been better to see. I didn't realize that. What do you mean, the Western Mustang? There goes your plans. What's going on, bud?
It's a Jack and Coke. It's still smooth as I remember. Same 50-50, I remember at least.
Still that same 50-50, even in a small cup. So what do you got? You were talking about earlier to me that we were listening to the Witcher theme song, or to a song that was on the Witcher soundtrack.
You're talking about Toss a Coin.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about with that? Like, what's your recommendation on that? TV show or video game first?
So the awesome thing about The Witcher, which if you remember the video game, shout out to y'all because y'all already know. But the TV show itself, they actually did something that most people can't do when they try to invert a game to a show, is that you actually have to play the video game before you can watch the show. With The Witcher, it's completely different. It's one of those shows that you can actually just start without playing any of the games and know kind of up front what you're into. Now, you may go back and play the video game because you watched the show, but you wouldn't have to, And I've experienced it a lot to where we play video games and, years later they're like, hey, we're going to make a TV show or a movie out of it. And you're like, oh, well, this is only going to be catered to those that played the game. The way The Witcher did it, though, they actually made it to where you didn't have to do all that. So I thought that was pretty cool. They made a homage to the actual game as well, to where you didn't play the game and watch the show and then be like, oh, this is too different.
So they gave homage.
Homage.
Okay. If you say so. Homage.
So, to me, they did respect to the video game. They actually brought back the game and did it, I wouldn't say line by line, but, the premise of it. And that to me was awesome because I grew up on The Witcher. I didn't play the very first one when it come out, but I remember playing the second one and going back to the first one. Now, he'll tell you I'm one of those people that I got to play from the first all the way throughout. I can't just pick up a game and start from wherever.
Anytime he plays a game, like if he's going to start it in the series, so the new Saints Row just came out, let me rephrase that. The new Saints Row finally came out on Steam. We're Steam fanatics, so we'd rather our games be on Steam than Epic or GOG. Just we'd rather it be on Steam. So finally, it got released on Steam. I missed the sale, damn it.
Yeah.
My luck. We had literally talked about it for a week, and I was like, man, I'm gonna buy it. But anyways, that's besides the point. So you bought that? Are you gonna go back and play from the first one again? But within the last 5 years, you already did that.
So that's exactly what I was about to say with Saints Row. I go
So, like,
back.
are you good with that? You've already replayed within the last 5 years because you have done it in the last 5 years.
Yeah. So I
Because what was it? Gat versus Hell.
Gat goes to hell.
Gat goes to hell.
Yeah.
You'd replayed for that,
Yes.
and that's been in the last 5 years, right?
So yeah, I definitely thought about when I got it. That was something before it released out on Steam. It was something that I was like, all right, do I need to go back and do it? Do I want to? And like you said, I did it recently to where I went back through all the Saints Row, and it was because
That's bad when 5 years is recent for us, but I mean, for video
old.
game life, everyday life affects how long it takes you to get through a video game. It's not like it used to be to where, like, 10 years ago, GTA released.
Right.
And we got it. That was the last midnight, or I think we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this on a squadcast or not. I can't remember if we did. But that was one of the last midnight releases that I remember going to. Like, it might not have been the last midnight release, but it was one of the last midnight releases I remember going to. And then we were seniors in high school, and I remember this. I'm not going to school. Like, I'm not going to school tomorrow. And me and you and Colby, or shit, my bad. Me, you, and Colby literally were texting each other and explaining where we were in the story, and we're like all lining up and stuff because we done been up since the midnight release, and we're like, all of us are waiting for the game to download.
Yeah.
At that point, internet was slow. We didn't have the gigabyte speed that we have now, and stuff like that.
At that point, I think it was more of a race between the three of us.
Who's going to get it finished? And
well, not even that, just downloading it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who's going to get it finished? Who's going to get the game downloaded, and who's going to get to play it first, start up first?
Right.
And if I remember right, me and you were pretty close, and I think you were minutes ahead of me.
Yeah, I think
you were minutes ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I think Colby gave up and went to sleep.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And was like, I'll just, like, screw it, I'll play tomorrow.
Yep.
But me and you were like, nah. We got to see what this is about.
Yeah.
Now, I got a feeling with GTA 6 does its thing and it releases. I'm sorry. Work. Hey, I love to go to work. I'm telling you, I love to go to work, kids. Like, it's
go to work.
It is the best. Go to work. I think I'm going to call out of work. Like, honestly, I have not called out. I don't call out of work.
I take my vacation days.
Yeah, planned. Yeah. Planned days. I don't take unplanned days.
Now, I might save a vacation day for
that. Now, I don't know, though. What if you played and you're like, because the map's supposed to be, apparently, 2 or 3 times bigger than current GTA.
I mean, I hope it is like that. To me, like a game, if they're going to surpass GTA 5, which has been out for years, and I can literally say years. The longest Rockstar has ever went without making a Grand Theft Auto installment. So I think
something that, in my opinion, is probably going to be the last Grand Theft Auto installment. I think they're going to go ahead and make it as big as they can. They're going to milk it for 20 years instead of 10 years like they did this one.
I hope not.
But Rockstar is probably going to be like, we've got to move on to something different. But Rockstar is known for 3 things. No, Rockstar is known for 3 things: Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and Max Payne. Those are your 3 big, those are your 3 big ones.
Yeah,
because Max Payne had three titles.
Yep.
Red Dead Redemption had 2, and then Grand Theft Auto is on 6. What they could do, Rockstar could do, is they could revisit L.A. Noire.
I wouldn't be mad at that. Yeah,
I would not be mad if they revisit L.A. Noire and make an L.A. Noire 2.
No, that's not a remaster. That is a second one.
A second one.
Yeah.
Let's follow Mafia logic. So let's go Mafia 1, and they followed off the Godfather series. Then let's go up another 10 years, 15 years, whatever it was, from Godfather 1 to Godfather 2. So you go from the 30s, or the 20s, the roaring 20s. You go from the roaring 20s to the 40s, or the 50s. And then you go to the third one, and you're in New Orleans, and you're in the 60s and 70s. So why not do that with L.A. Noire? Let's build your detective up, lead into modern day, create a new. I don't know if you ever did you ever play the CSIs?
Not the games,
because they were actually really interactive. The CSI games, they were actually really cool.
So for me, I always was a big fan of like open world games, like where I could actually walk around.
Sandbox.
Sandbox. So like most of the games, like with CSI, it seemed more like structured based, where I do a scene, and then I just kind of get moved to a different map, and it's
wasn't
like a replay.
It wasn't the CSI CSI. It was like hard evidence or something like that. It wasn't like that. You stayed at that scene until you chose that you didn't want to be at that scene anymore. Like you can continue to investigate and investigate and investigate.
But you couldn't go.
Now it would eventually tell you like there's no more investigating. We have to move you, and then it would move you to the next portion of the map. But it would give you the cutscene, and it was like watching CSI on TV, to where it would give you the cutscene. You'd go through that.
I get that, but see, like an open world game to me is where I can go anywhere, whether it be like say, here's a point you got to go to, and this is the next point, but you can go anywhere from the map to get to that point, versus you just transitioning over to that. I get what you're saying, where you have the option to choose to go back, or to go to the next level when you're ready. To me, I wasn't into that. Like there was a game called Heavy Rain. I don't know if you ever played that.
Heavy Rain. I played Heavy Rain.
So to me, I wasn't a big fan of Heavy Rain, just because it wasn't as open world.
I don't like the it was more of your remember the movie like Sin City?
Oh yeah, I love Sin City. Both of them. There was two.
Yeah, they're Sin City and
Sin City.
Damn it.
It's been a while. We're old, give us a chance.
Sin City. What was the Blue Man? What was the Blue Man?
Wow. Apparently, we got to go back and watch
Watchmen.
Watchmen, yes.
So it almost gave me like just that comic book.
Yeah, and that's what I love.
That comic book feel with Heavy Rain. You got to follow it, and if you miss anything, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like you have to be watching the screen at all times.
Yep.
If you miss the screen at any point, or if you miss any clue at any point, and if I remember right, Heavy Rain, like if you failed something, you basically had to restart from the beginning, just about.
See, that's one game I can say I never finished.
Yeah, but you started, but didn't. Wasn't it almost like you pretty much had to restart?
I think you had to find enough.
Like it was a major chapter that like you would have to go back. It might not have been the first chapter you had to go back, but like it was in such segments and such fragmented segments that if you didn't reach a certain checkpoint, you had to go back to that entire second chapter, because it was chapter this plus like it was chapter 1A.
Right, it would change the outcome basically.
Yeah, it was decision based.
Yeah.
And your decision affected it like heavily.
Like I said, to me,
but that's not the only game they made. I think that Heavy Rain game wasn't even the first in the series. There was multiple, because I think that was that's a Japanese company, right? That made Heavy Rain.
I'd have to look it up to say, for be honest, but I'm not sure. But I do know, like, going back to like what we were talking about, like with Heavy Rain, like I said, that's a game I never finished because it was different. But a game like L.A. Noire, to where you had a different aspect of being open world, I definitely finished that. I went back and at least played it, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like L.A. Noire was where it was at. I would love to see.
I actually had the, because it came out on PS3.
Yeah.
And I got it brand new on PS3.
Yep.
And
Me
then I
too.
actually bought the remastered when it came out on PS4
Yep.
and played the remastered. Having the PC, I'm sure there's probably mods and stuff for it.
Oh yeah.
I have not tampered into that.
I know I have it for PC, but I might look into that. Like
I
maybe
have not tampered into it. I'm sure they probably created more missions and stuff for it.
if it's on PC, which we've always said it. You know, if anything's on PC when it's a game, there's gonna be mods for it. Whether it be something big or something small, someone's gonna make a mod for it. And I don't hate against that. You
You know,
know, I
I'm
think
still working on going back and beating all the Resident Evils, and I'm bound
you
and
got a
determined to
ways.
go 1 through 8 or one through
So
nine, whatever they're on. But
I think I'm
it's
on the third now. I think the fourth. We're waiting on for the remaster to come out. I don't think it's
it's a
released yet.
time consuming thing though. Is that
It takes
I
forever.
don't have time having your nephew. I don't have time
I
to
mean,
play games.
when you got kids, you know, it takes away from you. I get
But
that.
not only that, but I've got so much going on, whether it be work or
Right. Yeah.
running
We're getting older.
me and South Coast Ace running our Discord and 5M server. I got a lot going on, and I got a lot of people depending on me, like
Yeah.
including my kid and including my wife. I've got a whole community that stands behind me.
I mean, that brings a whole other discussion too. Is like when we were younger and stuff, coming from school, that was like literally the first thing we would do, whether it be meeting up with one of our friends. If we weren't doing that, we were coming home to get on the game to play with our friends that we actually knew from school. And it's like now it's like going from work, you come home and you're like, do I really want to touch the game? Do I want to go to sleep? Or do I actually have something that I gotta get done today? And it's completely different now. Like I've ran into so many times where I wanted to play a game. I knew what game I want to play. I'll tell anybody, whether it be him or anybody, that I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna play this game and don't even touch it because I'm either too tired or too busy with something else. It's almost like I got to take a vacation day from work just to be able to play a certain game if I want to play it all the way through.
you keep this down under wraps for a minute. I'm gonna go to the restroom.
Yeah. So I mean, like with any game, to me, it's harder to play once you get older. They don't tell you that. I guess when our generation, we're right at our 30s now, so we're pretty much at our 30s to. We went back to PS2 days. I'll be honest with that. We went back to PS2 days. So it's like coming from that and up, we were the gamers. You know, that's when all the gaming consoles come out, and it's one of those things when we were younger, we played all the time. Whether it be whatever. Whether we were at school, we were off for the weekend, whatever chance we had, we were playing a video game, and we'd always be playing with friends because PS3 was perfect for online. PS2 was they started to enable online. That's when it kind of started, but it definitely was one of those things where it was hard for us to come together on a PS2 versus a PS3 where it was easy just to join up online games. But going back to what we said was nowadays it's definitely hard to with any game, whether what consoles you may have, whether it be a PlayStation, Xbox, or PC even. We're always working. Everybody has their own life now, whether or not they have a family, whether or not they're going to jobs, or not they're just dealing with stuff internally. So it's hard to get together. Like we have, I mean, as you know, our own podcast with the squad, and we have at least 10 members that try to play games together, and it's rough playing together because everybody's different. We're working. We have our own life. We have a family. We're always trying to come together to play because when we come together, we create great content. And it's just one of those things that kind of suck now. Once you got older, we're having to stop because of that. It it definitely brings a new perspective to when you talk about video games. But I mean, kind of pull off video games for a second. Going back to Jack, to with Jack and stuff, it was something that we were able to just kind of wind down. When we all got together, it was always just about drinking whatever. And like I said, BB was one of those people. He had whatever liquor you wanted. You go to his house, they had it. You know, it might not have been something that you wanted to drink, but you were going to try it firsthand if you haven't already. And that was the cool thing about going to BB's was he had every bottle known to man, and I can literally say that because he did. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that would be literally whatever he would when we all got together, whatever the occasion was, he would bring that up. Would be like, I got whatever y'all want.
So you had
Let
brought
me
up
know.
like Jack was a winding down thing.
Yeah.
So he's not lying when he says that. That was a end of the week, man. Let's just so we've always been big into video games, but our lives didn't revolve around video games. Our lives
Exactly.
still don't revolve around video games.
Further,
The
further.
best thing in life are your friends. Uh,
All about connection. Yeah.
so drinking the Jack and drinking beer and all of that. We've started fires and
Bonfires are the best. Yeah.
we've started fires. We'll have just straight garage conversations and things like that. And it's just to BS and be with somebody that like, man, buddy, I missed you. I'm glad that you're here. And we've got quite a few of those friends, and there's quite a few of those friends too as we grow older that it's like they're no longer here.
Yeah.
And I miss you, and I wish you were here. And that's externally and internally.
Yeah.
We've got friends that are just like no longer on Earth, and then we've got friends that just we no longer talk to. And it's not because we don't want to talk to them, just
we don't see them.
They literally have their own lives, and we're not in the cards to be a part of that life.
But
me and you have been friends for 15 years.
I don't know. 10.
Oh.
10-year reunion.
10-year reunion? No. 10 years is how long we've been out of high school. 14 years is how long
14.
we've been friends. So 14.
Yeah, 14.
So we're at 14 years of being friends, like I can't just end that relationship, there's not, so we don't talk on a daily basis.
No, but we pick it back up.
But we know where we left off, exactly.
I mean, that's with all of our friends too. Like, he was getting at was we don't talk to everybody. It's been a while since we talked to them. But no matter what, when we come together, it's like we pick up for that last conversation.
I mean, you heard me call, they heard me call you, call my son your nephew.
Yeah.
Like, my nephew, or my son has quite a few uncles. Whether they're legit or not. My mom considers you one of her kids, just like vice versa.
Yeah.
Same thing with Colby. His mom has always considered us to be one of her kids.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that all of our moms are like that.
All of them.
Yeah.
Whether they actually like you, like the kid or not.
Yeah. I mean, you're
like
your mom with me. I mean. Yeah, your mom with me.
Well, who she doesn't like, though, I don't know why she likes Alan more than she likes Colby. But it is what it is, I guess. But then there's always Michael. That I don't think is he anyone's. Does anyone claim him as their kid?
Honestly, I don't think we ever talked about that before, and I don't think so.
Do we bust him out on the podcast? I'm not gonna bust him out on the podcast.
No. He's definitely a good friend of ours.
He's a great friend. Yeah. I mean, he actually is a great friend. Like, I do give him
I take it back. He's a brother. That's what we always consider each other we're brothers. And there's difference between friends and brothers. Brothers is what we say that we've been lifelong. We've known them for a long time, and it's one of those things where we can literally pick up, no matter the gap in between that we've seen each other, is that we can literally pick up the conversation. And to me, to me and him both, that's a brother. If you're a friend, you just kind of know them. You see them when you see them. You're like, hey, how you doing? A brother, you're always going to be friends, no matter what. You're going to be family. And to me, that's what's big. I know Fast and Furious family kind of pushed it out a little too much, but I mean, it really is the truth with us, But I don't know. To kind of bring it back with drinking. Drinking pretty much brought us together. It's like he said before, we started out, you meet up in school, you become friends. You get a little bit older, you start playing video games. You get a little bit older, you start drinking together. And before you know it, you just have all these memories that you can bring together.
I mean, we have been drinking together since we were 17,
So many stories on that too.
17 years old. And thing is, those stories can be told, but that alcohol will never be featured on this podcast. Ever. It won't. Like, honestly, Smirnoff Ice will never have a spot on this podcast.
It's in a bottle, you know.
It is in a bottle, but it will never have a spot on this podcast. Like, me and you have learned that sugar does not add up in an alcoholic. My bad. I just said that. Professional drinker. That's what we are. That is what we are. We are not alcoholics.
If anybody saw my face just now,
are social drinkers. We only drink together.
Yeah.
So that makes us not alcoholics. Smirnoff Ice will never be on this podcast, but that leads into some more stuff right there. Let's go ahead and talk about some Smirnoff Ice. Let's talk about the flavors.
There's so many.
There's so many, but there were two of our favorites.
I'll name one.
There was two of our favorites,
I'll name one.
and you're gonna name the one that I was about to say, but go ahead and say it. Because I make it. I still make these. Now, mine are a hell of a lot better than Smirnoff's. If he's going to say what I think he's going to say. Does it start with a S?
Yeah. So, my favorite Smirnoff is a Smirnoff screwdriver.
Yes.
Which is what he's getting at, that he still makes. But, if we're going to his version of it, I like plain orange juice. Now, he makes it with
I got two versions.
He does.
I got two versions.
I'm going to finish on this one. So, to me personally, I really like just regular orange juice with it. He likes to mix Sunny D with his. Now, it's a preference thing. You know, everybody has their own take on it. Now, I don't blame him for liking Sunny D, just like he doesn't blame me for liking regular orange juice. We come together on it, and it's just whatever. Now, I'll drink his Sunny D, but I would prefer regular orange juice.
I promise I give him the D.
But, yeah, he does. A lot. But with Smirnoff... With Smirnoff, like, it was one of those go-tos where you just pick it up and you could drink it, and it was just smooth, you know. Now, I agree that if you probably drink too many of those, you still get messed up on.
Now, you remember when we started drinking Smirnoff, though? There were only 3 flavors.
Yeah.
Or no, there was 4 flavors.
Yeah, 4.
There's 4 flavors. Oh. I don't know if you could even name all 4, but I'm about to name them off, and you can confirm or deny.
There we go. I like
we
that.
had original.
Yep.
We had screwdriver. We had grape.
Yeah.
And we had green apple.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
And that was your variety pack. No, that was before. That's pre.
It wasn't
variety packs.
Yeah, it wasn't a variety
so
pack.
You could only get them in 6 packs, or you get them in 40 ounces.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Those were your only 2 options, because we would have somebody buy us a 40-ounce screwdriver. Because that was the best one.
And we only did that because we didn't have the money, you know, not because we were underage.
No, we had the money. We paid for them.
But yeah, you know, we weren't underage, so it was...
No, we were underage.
No, we weren't.
I didn't name who bought them.
I didn't know if you want to go with underage drinking.
No, I'd already been on that. Whenever I hit my Jack story, I'd already hit on... I was only 20 and...
Close enough.
But, being that age, and then what was the game? What was the game that we would play like the most?
Waterfall.
No. At your house.
Oh, we played Phase 10.
Drunk Phase 10.
Yeah.
But there's no. I know we played a lot of Drunk Phase 10, a lot of Drunk Uno.
Yep.
And you see, we were pranksters.
Oh man.
So your little sister is what? 3 years younger than you?
4.
4 years.
Yep. 4.
So. All of her friends were our little sisters.
Let me pause you there. So when he says this, what he literally means is I had 2 good friends, you know, brothers to me, that would come over. We would play, you know, games, whether it be cards or whatnot. But my sister, at the same time, 4 years younger than me, she had at least 2 best friends, and we would have all of us over at the same time. So it was kind of weird that, you know, we.
Now they didn't do this. They didn't do the same thing that we did, though.
No. But
make sure that that's known that 4 years younger, they weren't drinking with us at
I never
17
said
years
that.
old. They weren't doing that.
No, I never said that.
Like
But
they weren't doing that.
so the point being though is that we were all over at the same place, which was our house, my house, and we all come together and we all treated each
I think
other
we're outside of the statutes of limitation on drinking. I think.
Maybe.
Either way, I know who I'm gonna blame.
As long as we don't
You know who you're gonna blame?
as long as we don't
I
say
know who
it.
I'm gonna blame. You
Yeah.
know who you're gonna blame?
Yeah.
Your dad, right?
Yeah.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
He's
down
not
with
gonna watch this.
No, he's not.
No.
But
That's who we're blaming though.
we all pretty much grew together in that house. We all become brother and sister with her friends and my friends. We all were a big family and stuff. And this is where he gets into the pranking part, is because we were always over playing games together, whether it be cards or whatever.
So multiple friends.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it was always his same friends, and it was always his sister's same friends.
That family.
She doesn't care, but so Kelsey, a big one. I'm not gonna say the other one, but mixed martial arts. That's just what we're gonna call hers. We're gonna call her MMA.
Teabag.
We're Teabag.
Teabag.
Yeah, we'll call her Teabag.
Teabag. Yeah.
Those two friends. There's another one.
We can say her name because it's
We can't say her name.
Brooke.
Yeah. So growing up with them, like literally watching your sister, and she still to this day is kind of like skeptical on it. But the first time I ever met her, she was riding in a booster seat in the back of that Chevy Cobalt.
I thought it was gonna be the longest before she got out of that.
She was
And
in that. She was in that Chevy Cobalt and was shy like how your cousin is.
Definitely, yeah.
And shoot, it took your cousin being grown, almost. She's a senior in high school.
She is.
To finally be like, you know what, I'll talk to him. She'd hide behind you and like, nah, I ain't talking to him. We've been friends for 14 years.
I mean, I'd give her
consistently friends for 14 years.
So if we're going with my cousin, I would say up to her junior year, to the end of her junior year, to be fair, was when she actually started reaching out and hanging out with her own friends and actually making connections with
being
other
a
guys.
social butterfly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But drinking over there and getting pranked. So like we would prank each other, and like Kelsey had a thing with my leg hair.
Yeah.
Just had a thing with my leg hair. So this is to tell you how close our relationships were, like as brother, sister, and how we treated each other we treated each other as brothers and sisters.
We were brother and sister.
It's either we were on good terms or we were on bad terms.
Yeah, we were on bad terms because somebody pranked us.
Good terms is we all are sitting there watching a movie and we fall asleep,
playing games, something,
and no one bothers us. Like we literally, your mom, dad,
it was just a hangout.
Your mom and dad, we would go into your room or watching a movie, and all of us fall asleep, and we're all like, you remember the big ass pallets we would make in your floor?
Yes.
So it's just a line of kids in your floor. And it's boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And it's like, because each one, like your sister had her favorite person. Kelsey had her favorite person. Yeah. Taylor, or Teabag had her favorite person.
So, I mean,
Skeletor had her favorite person. I'm going to bring her up.
Even that was after.
But all of them had their favorite people. And so, like, we're all in there together. And we're watching it on this little, and we thought it was big TVs back then, because me and you got our 32-inch flat screens around the same time.
Yeah.
I had mine first. Yeah, I did have mine first.
Yeah, I give it.
But, because you remember my box screen, you thought it was cool, because, remember, my box screen had the surround sound.
Because you had it in your room. That's what got me, was we had it in our living room that was bigger.
But you remember my box screen that had the speakers on the side of it.
Yeah.
That Aunt Martha gave me.
Yep.
So us growing together, and that just goes to show like what progression is, that we went from plugging AV cables to HDMI cables to DMI cables now, or DPI cables now. Here we are. We're expanding. We're growing.
You're right.
I've got two 27-inch curved monitors and an old ass monitor.
I mean,
Uh, got over 70 inches worth of screen sitting on my desk. Uh, but to watch the growth and to be brothers and sisters and stuff like that was an amazing progression.
man.
And I'm still close as hell. You know, we're all still close as hell with each other. Like, your sister knows she can call me anytime.
And that's the thing is like they're
I
always,
work with her husband.
I was that's the thing too is like they're always asking about somebody. You know, whether it be my sister's asking about you or her friends are asking about somebody. We're always able to turn it back around and be like, hey, you know, yeah, to us like that. It's like we all said we're one big family. You know, we're always checking on one another. We always hear about one another, and we don't talk to each other about all the time. But
Where are we at? What does that say? Can you go in here? We're at 2 minutes.
so I mean, like with us, so like it's definitely different for us because we're family. We don't think about it as much, but we always check up on each other, and we're always asking, whether who's getting married, who's dating who, where are they at. We're always checking up on one another, and it's because we grew up together and we're family. You know, we don't ever consider each other different. We always say we're family. That's the bottom line.
Family is important.
Yes.
I've grew relationships in our Discord
Yeah,
that me and you are leaders in. That I introduced you to these people, but we have built brotherhood within those, and there is people that I've never met a day in my life that I will 100% call my brother. So this is presented by, or this is brought to you by Squad Entertainment. Hunter is a founder of Squad Entertainment. I am a founder, or I am the main founder of Squad Entertainment. Uh, I created Squad Entertainment. I created the logo, everything above.
I mean,
I brought a lot of people together,
and you have your own streams as far as with our server.
I do have my own streams. If you're watching this, of course, you already know I'm the Delta BB, aka BB. United Roleplay is owned by myself and Ace and Polly. All three of us own that server.
Shout out to Ace and Polly for sure.
Those are the link to our Discord is actually in my description.
Yes, check it out.
But what I'm getting at is I've built brotherhoods, and I've introduced you to my brotherhoods that I've created. And definitely. South Coast Ace is a major brother.
He is, yeah.
Goose with a knife.
Oh, man.
Love him to death.
Yes.
One of the brothers. One of the founders of the squad.
Yeah.
And El Polly. Probably one of my most favorite people.
I mean, when you get us together like that, me is the
Polly is one of my most favorite people. Yeah. All of us have a connection. It's almost like our high school group.
Yes.
To where there's certain, like, you would never pick us all in a lineup together and be like, these guys are friends.
No,
you're gonna wonder why we're all friends, but we're all friends for a reason. But the reasons none of us can give.
And see, to me, like, that is the best type of friendship right there. Is that you're friends for a reason, but anybody outside of that friend group, when they look at you, they're like, "How are y'all friends?" And you can ask him. All of our friends have been that same way. No matter if we're just online with people we'd never met, to where we grew up with people in high school, we've always been that same way. To where they don't understand why we're friends, but we're still friends, and we still look at each other as brothers. They might say we're friends, but we're brothers in real life. And to me, like that's the best way to know that you have a good, relationship is that no one can tell why y'all are friends, but y'all are.
Look at South Coast Ace in the comments. Uh, that's one of my moderators. The Western Mustang is also a moderator. I can't leave the Western Mustang out, and I'm
No.
glad that I looked back at the comments because I can't leave the Western Mustang out. Uh, he is young. I can give him that, but the Western Mustang has earned his spot
Yes, yeah.
in the squad and has proved now and again why he should be with the squad.
I mean, you could say it the best way is we host our own podcast with the squad, and it would cover more on the game side than drinking. I will say that, which and
Anyone watching this has probably watched the squad.
yes,
I
hope so.
I'm the main host of the squad. I do not pick the topics. I just want that to be known as well.
We all come together. Yes,
that's a group effort. If you watch the last one, you'll see that I went last.
I believe so. Yeah, you pushed it.
I went last. I am the host and will direct the podcast in the directions they should go. But overall, that podcast is a uncut, uncensored group.
Raw. Completely raw.
This is raw. What me and Hunter are giving y'all.
Yes.
I don't feel like it's as raw. I almost feel like we've censored a little bit.
We cut a little bit out of it out. We're testing our waters.
This is live stream, so I mean we didn't cut anything, but we censored ourselves quite a bit.
This is definitely something that like I said, it's our first episode, so we're definitely watching what we say. But it's mainly for the bottle reason. We don't want to say too much because we are going to be continuing with other bottles that will contain other memories. So it's one of those things where if you keep watching, you're definitely going to hear a lot more memories, a lot more different times with us.
I think we're going to keep the same momentum to where it's the first half is going to be memory, and then the second half is going to be whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
I think that went well tonight.
I definitely think that it's going to be something that our viewers and stuff, if you're watching, definitely leave us comments. I mean,
give us
feedback.
Recommendations.
Yeah.
Feedback, what we can do better.
Whether it be feedback on what we're doing wrong or what we're doing right, or whether or not you like a certain bottle. Like right now it's Jack. So, I mean, you can tell us your favorite experiences with Jack or your favorite mixes with Jack, how you like to drink it. That's what we want to hear with this podcast. We want to know what the viewers like, and with us, we're definitely going to keep on trying other bottles. This is not going to be a one and done.
No.
We're definitely going to be adding.
This is going to be a minute on these podcasts.
And me and him already talked about it. We're definitely going to be adding bottles that we like from the very first get go. But we're hoping to hear back from our viewers. I give
the first 5 episodes are probably going to be first 5 or 6 episodes are going to be bottles of things that we like.
Yes.
And then after that, it's either going to be off a recommendation or we're just going to go. Or I hope it's recommendation.
I hope so.
I hope recommendation is a big one. But if recommendation doesn't happen, we're going to be going off of, hey, buddy, have you tried this? And we're going to go based off of that.
Yeah.
And it could be something that I've tried that he hadn't tried, and that's going to be a different aspect. That's almost going to be like a wine tasting once we get to that point. It's going to be telling you, okay, I took a shot. How Hunter did it tonight, where Hunter was like, "It's been a minute," and that wasn't that bad. The Jack and Coke, I'll go ahead and give. I didn't give any of mine, actually. Now I think about it, the shot, I don't shoot anymore. Shot was rough, just because I don't shoot whiskey.
But back in the day, he did. He did a lot.
I don't shoot whiskey. My liquor tolerance is not what it used to be. The Jack and Coke, exactly how I remember it, just like you described it.
Yeah.
That is a familiar taste that will never change.
He's getting at that 50-50 for us. Yes.
that point will never change. On ice, favorite, absolute favorite. I I can't pick anything of it.
And like that's something else too. Is like when you get older, for some reason, like over ice is just better. I don't understand why.
Flavor. Ice brings out flavor for some reason. It's almost like smoking meat, to where like you've had my pulled pork, you've had my brisket, you've had all these different meats that I've smoked, but I use different woods and things when I smoke certain things, right?
Yeah.
Whiskey's that same way. So anything with whiskey with ice, it's going to bring out that barrel flavor.
Right.
So Jack is in an oak barrel, so you're going to taste a lot of oak inside of that whiskey on that ice.
Yeah.
But you've got your cherry whiskeys, like not cherry flavored, but you got your cherry barreled whiskeys.
You got your flavors. Yeah.
You got all these different types of barrels that these whiskeys go in, and ice pulls out that main flavor.
It does. Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for in a whiskey now. The older I get, is I'm looking for flavor. I want to taste I want to taste the inside of that whiskey. I want to break it down and be like, what does that flavor? And me and you've had that conversation to where it's like, what is that? What is it?
And that's what I was going to say. Like during this podcast, we have not talked about this yet, which we were pretty much waiting before we, poured it over ice. Was that when you get older, as a younger kid, you're like, why are you going to pour it over ice? Why can't you just mix it? Why can't you just take a shot? You don't understand the value of it. When you get older, you understand the value. And when I say value, I mean what he just said was the flavor and the taste. You're not going for that as a kid. You're just going for what can I hammer down?
You're trying to get drunk.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So getting drunk is something that me and you don't do often.
Not anymore, yes.
So there's two different kinds of drunks. So there's a beer drunk,
okay,
and there's a liquor drunk. So me and you have had many a nights beer drunk recently.
Plenty.
To where we can go through a 12-pack together, or not together, individually.
Yeah.
We can go through a 12-pack individually in one night.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you that our liquor tolerance at this point is probably still not the same. No. Because I do drink liquor on a daily still. I'm a vodka man now.
See,
so I'm a seasonal drinker.
Yeah.
I am a seasonal drinker. We're over an hour at this point. We're going to keep it going a little bit longer. Yeah. But I'm a seasonal drinker. So if it's hot outside, more than likely I'm not going to drink something warm, which is whiskey. Whiskey's going to warm you up inside.
Yep.
I'm a vodka man in the summertime. I'm a rum man in the summertime. But the best thing for my gullet in the summertime, after getting off the mower or something like that, we're in the Mississippi heat. You walk outside and it makes you want to fucking slap your mama. There we go. There's your uncut right there. I just gave you uncut. Slap your damn mama. I want a cold fucking beer.
Me too.
I want a cold beer.
Ice cold. Ice cold.
Mountains better be fucking blue on that can if I'm going to drink them. You're drinking Bud Light, so you got to have some Dylan, whatever its name is, on your beer. But if it sweats, it's cold.
Well, he's getting at it's got to be ice cold.
Got to be ice cold no matter what you drink. Got to be ice cold.
Yes.
I'm a beer man and a vodka rum man in the summertime.
Yeah.
Wintertime comes, give me some moonshine. Homemade moonshine. You better hit me up with some fucking white fucking lightning.
And I will say this, please stay tuned because eventually I'm pretty sure we will get to that. We will get to that.
Names will not be told,
No.
but moonshine will come in play.
Yes.
Stay
tuned.
And it will be under personal consumption in the state of Mississippi. You cannot prosecute for that.
No.
Just gonna say that.
We're not selling anything.
I am not selling moonshine.
It's just between us.
Like that's legitimate. Like not bullshitting.
Yeah.
I mean for real. I ain't bullshitting.
We haven't.
But it is for personal consumption. I'll have a jar. It will come. I have a jar in the freezer right now, but it is not drinkable.
No. We'll try. We'll try.
No, we're not gonna try.
We'll try.
No, we're not gonna try.
We'll try a shot.
No, we're not gonna try a shot.
Not this
We're
episode.
not gonna try a shot.
I'll try a shot.
You,
I'm
you
gonna try a
remember we tried a shot recently, and it wasn't good. It has sat in there for over a year.
I'll try a shot. Not now. Not now.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
We'll make an episode.
Are you
out
sure?
about it.
It's a whiskey. I mean, I'll pull it.
We're talking about Jack.
I'll pull it.
Y'all know this. We're talking about Jack.
I'll pull it. You sure you don't want to try it?
We're gonna make an episode.
A whole episode just
Yes.
on that? That's not a mixer, and it's not on ice.
I wanted to tell the story, but I'm not gonna tell the story because we're gonna make an episode about it, and then I'll tell the story about
It'd
it.
be in the top 5.
He said it's not top 5, so it's gonna be an episode.
It'd be number 5. We'll give that.
He just said episode 5.
Episode
so
5.
keep watching.
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
It happened.
It'll happen. I'll make sure. I got you.
We're gonna have multiple liquors that episode, just so that everyone knows. Because
Stay tuned is what we're saying.
moonshine is not. Yeah, moonshine is gonna get straight tossed, and that's gonna be it. And it's gonna be. We're gonna do it how it's supposed to be. We're not gonna do it in shot glasses.
No.
We're drinking straight out of that mason jar.
We're gonna do it right.
Anyways, you ready to end this?
I hate to do it, but
I'd love to keep talking to these guys.
I would, but it's to us in the bottle. I think we respected Jack. Let us know if we didn't, if we missed something out. Please let us know. And like I said before, if you have a different outcome on Jack or a different mixer on Jack, let us know. We'll definitely try it. We might even come back to later episodes on stuff that you recommend to us. If not, let us know a different bottle, and we'll definitely come back to it for sure. But we are definitely going to come back with more bottles, more experiences, more memories for sure.
Till then,
Yeah.
I'm BB.
I'm Hunter. Keep on drinking, man.